Hi, this is John Patrick Hickey. I want to welcome you back to the video cast. We have talked the last couple of videos about our doors that we're choosing from. You remember the old game show with you pick from door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. And we've had an advantage. We've known what's behind the door before we picked it. And the first door was a lack, something that not a lot of people are going to want to pick. You know, this is like when people pick the door for the year's supply of tropical fish food. You know, it's not something you're going to get real excited about. Door number 2 is work. It may be a lot more effort, but it is the one that really starts to pay off. That there is a benefit of working, which is far more than financial. There are many benefits of work. This is door number 3. Door number 3 is persistence. Persistence is, if you could look at the values or the qualities of good character, and you can pick one of those as something that would be a special gift bestowed upon you, I would tell you to pick persistence. Because persistence is a thing that gets you from point A to point B. Persistence is the thing that brings it all home, that makes it all work, that makes it so you can achieve and have absolutely anything that you want. It is by being persistent. Persistence is simply you don't give up. And we don't give up. You see, success is always a case of quitting. Thomas Edison used to say that, most people didn't succeed, even though they were right at success door, simply because they gave up. And that's the truth. You just quit. And Edison was a man to listen to because he knew what it was to be persistent. I mean, how many of us are going to fail 10,000 times before we come into a success? And it's actually somewhat of a law of averages. You keep working long enough, you're going to hit it. Because it's just going to happen because you haven't quit. And we don't. If you do a quick study of history and true successes in life, you will find that persistence has always been the number one quality of successful people. Whether they're inventors like Edison, who understood that a failure wasn't a failure. A failure was something that just didn't work. And he didn't just throw it aside and say, I'm not going to, deal with that didn't work, so toss that out. So let me find something else, toss that out. It's like the idea of the writer with the trash can full of pages that have been crumpled up and thrown in there because it didn't work, so you just toss it away and stuff. No, Edison knew if this didn't work, there was a reason it didn't work. And he saved all his information because what didn't work this time may work another time. The qualities, the chemical reactions, the experiments, the things that he did that did not work, did work in other areas. And everything gave him information. And that was one of the greatest treasures. We look at Edison and we think, okay, we learned from him because of his persistence. We learned from him because of his ability to invent practical objects. But the fact is that when you really want to learn from Edison, learn the fact that he never wasted an experience. He never wasted information. He kept it all. He kept records. He kept it all. So that when the time came, he knew he could go back and he could find how this worked, what this did, how this might fit into something else. Just because something in your life doesn't work today doesn't mean it won't work tomorrow or it won't work in a different setting. Always learn from every experience. And not only does that knowledge give you a wealth of information that you can use later in life, but it builds that persistent character. It helps us move forward. There are other historic figures that we can learn from who understood the value of persistence. One of those was not in learning how to run a business, learning how to make an invention. It was how to survive. And that was Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was definitely, if you ever looked through history and found the man of the hour, it was Sir Winston Churchill. He was the right man in the right place at the right time. Everything was lined up perfectly for him. England would have never survived the onslaught of World War II had it not been for Winston Churchill. And what did he do? Did he go out and fight great battles, lead mighty armies? Well, no, he didn't. He stayed in London, and he stayed in Parliament, and he stayed in safe places. But what he did is he led people. He helped them believe that success was possible. And he made a determination that no matter what, and no matter what is not some matter-of-fact phrase that we use. No matter what is a very powerful phrase. No matter what, we will not surrender. We will not quit. We will fight until there is no fight left. But we will not quit. Do you have that determination in your life? Believe me, it'll make all the difference in the world. It will make you, when you hit those difficult times which we all face, when you go through crisis, when you go through lack, when you go through times of failure and feeling like nothing is going right, if you have determined in your heart, without question, without wavering, that you will not surrender, you will not quit, then there is only one option left for you. Success. It's the only one. You see, successful people succeed because they don't have any other option. There's nothing else they can do but to succeed, because they won't stop. The great Yogi Berra always said, you can't come against a guy who will not give up. And that's the truth. If you constantly are willing to do what it takes, if you're trying to achieve a goal, if you have something you've been working at, and I trust that this is talking to somebody, because we all go through these things, and you've just seemed to hit the brick wall again for the 882nd time, you keep trying. Learn what doesn't work. Learn from that. Look at it. Don't ignore it. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to get up and try again, because you're only going to hit the wall again. There's a reason you're hitting the wall. And you got to learn what that reason is. So you get up and you find out what isn't working. You make the changes that are necessary. Maybe the time has come to dig under the wall, walk around the wall, get a ladder, climb over the wall, whatever it is that you need to do. But you don't have to hit the wall again. The thing that makes the difference is that you have not surrendered going over the wall. Whether it's under, around, drilling a hole through the middle of it, blowing it up with dynamite, whatever it is, that wall that you've hit so many different times. The fact is, you will. You may not know how, because that's what you're trying to figure out. That's the work it takes. That's where you got to analyze these things and look at them and make the changes that you're going to make. But never in question is whether or not you'll make it through. You will be on the other side of that wall. You know that. That's decided. It's done. You will be on the other side of that wall. The fact is, you just have to figure out how. But it doesn't matter. If you have determined that you will make it past that wall, the how will come. You have to understand. See, people, when they're trying to figure out what they're doing, how is a big question that they have. How do I do this? How do I do that? The real question is why. Why am I doing this? And if that why is strong, it has value, it is important, you have to do it. It's a must. You have to succeed. You have to make it through. Then the how will always come. See, Churchill didn't understand how they were going to survive, but he had no question that they would. Never questioned it. It was an absolute fact in Churchill's mind that they would survive. How? What that looked like? They had to figure that out, but he knew they would because they had to do it. Edison didn't always know what his experiments would come out in the end. He just knew that they would. Why? Because he never gave them that choice. There was no option to fail. There was no option to quit. It was like in the great movie of Apollo 13, when they're working on, I love this scene in that movie. That's a great movie, by the way. But where the guys are trapped in the space capsule, and the people on Earth have to figure out how to clean their air, and they have all the stuff that's in there, and they got to put this together. And the instruction was, failure is not an option. That is so important. Can you say that to yourself? Can you embrace that in your head? Failure is not an option. It's just not. How are you going to do it? Got to figure that out. What is it going to take? Got to be willing to pay the price. But the fact is, the deciding factor of everything you do is always going to be failure is not an option. You will not surrender. You will succeed. Do that, and there is nothing that will stop you. And you will be your best. You love God, have good manners, discover the unknown, and you will change your world. We at the Growth Center are committed to helping you achieve your dreams and live a successful life. For more information on books and materials offered, visit our website at www.johnpatrickhickey.com. That's www.johnpatrickhickey.com.